Welcome back. It's time now for us to take a look at this week's headlines making news stories in our Reporters Rewind. Our guests at the round table are Essence Magazine news editor Lauren Williams. And of course, we have Harold Ford that's with us. And we also have Nyasha Laing. And we're going to have a good time with this particular segment, but we're going to start off with a story.
Just one thing is Wallace Ford. Harold's,
I'm sorry, Harold.
Harold's a brother from another mother, but that's okay.
Is that really the case?
Harold again.
I'm going to tell Rudy Washington. I ought to know better about this.
Okay, that's fair enough.
An old friend of ours. Jahai McMath captured headlines. Of course, a young child, now 13 years old, who went in for a routine tonsillectomy and got in a coma. What's happening recently is we don't know where her location is. Their parents were able to remove her from the hospital. They believe that there's perhaps a miracle could take place. Of course, 3 doctors, 3 neurosurgeons or neurologists say otherwise. But the parents now wanted her to get an honorary diploma from the school she's been in, this charter school, since kindergarten. There were some people that might have been against this. And I've got to ask you, what is your feeling about this honorary diploma?
I think Jahai was a member of the community since kindergarten. She basically grew up at the school, and because of her tragic tonsillectomy, which occurred in December, she obviously has not been able to attend school. So I think it's a really great way to recognize the work that she had done over the years, and I think the family remains hopeful that she will make a recovery despite the fact that she has been clinically pronounced brain dead. But I do think it was a great gesture. The school, someone from the family will be accepting the award today. Today is the graduation. So I think they made the right decision in doing so.
I think the overall question here, though, is medical ethics. What should be allowed, what should not? Of course, the parents, they want to keep her what they consider to be alive, but they're saying there's no electrical activity, there's no blood flow to the brain.
Unfortunately, technology has far outstripped our ethical decision-making process at this point. It is possible to keep someone technically alive if you define alive as breathing and your heart is beating, but there's no brain activity. The neurosurgeons don't believe that, any number of neurosurgeons don't believe that it'll ever come back. We had seen other cases like this in the past, high-profile cases. But the point is that we're going to have to come to a point as people in this country, because the United States is far behind other developed countries in dealing with these kinds of situations. As I said, technology can keep you alive long past anything resembling a useful life or a condition that any of us would want to be in. And you have to be able to make those decisions in a fair fashion and in an ethical fashion, but in a way that at some point brings closure to the family. It's horrible what this family is going to go through for how many years.
Well, but I mean, I think part of that you've got to put on them. I certainly am sympathetic to them, but I mean, how long can you keep this up? That's the question that I'm asking.
Well, and then to be blunt about it, there's also a tremendous cost involved here. Towards what purpose? And these are tough questions that require tough answers, but that's the world we live in, and we have to be prepared to address that. And can't hide from it.
And the question is, at what point does someone say to the family, "Hey, look, we can't keep this up. They're not obviously paying these costs. Someone's picking up the cost for this, and it's not the family."
Yeah, you are. You are, and every other person as a taxpayer is picking up some part of this in the process. Absolutely.
Let's move on here to another story that I'm sure a lot of you are interested in. Your president, okay, is getting a whole lot of heat for Bo Bergdahl. He's back in the country now. His parents have not seen him yet, from what we understand. But of course, the Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel went on the Hill, was grilled by lawmakers on both sides, and of course he's defending the situation. Of course, the president is saying he was legally in his right to do so. Time was of the factor here. What do you think we're going to see out of this story coming down the line here from Bo Bergdahl?
I think that people are going to use it as a jump off for a lot of criticism that have been wielded against the president for use of executive powers and other uses of his executive power. But in this case, I think, the defense secretary and the administration does have to push back. There are times, prisoners of war are always an issue, especially in times of conflict, which we still are in conflict. And in this situation, their calculus was that it was a better decision to get one prisoner out who may have lost his life. Whether or not he, is later found to have absconded.
But we have all this conflicting information here. You know,
Right, we
his,
just
his
don't know.
colleagues are
We just
saying
don't
that he may
know.
have been a deserter.
But it doesn't
But
matter.
it doesn't
matter. It doesn't matter. That is something to be resolved by the American military justice system, an oxymoron if there ever was one. But still, it's supposed to be resolved there, not in a cage in Afghanistan.
I'm playing the advocate here. The
Devil's
advocate. I'm a lay minister. I'm not going to call myself
Okay.
the devil's advocate. But the bottom line is they're saying that 6 American soldiers lost their lives in searching for this guy who basically deserted his post, allegedly.
Yes. And that's to be resolved not with with this man continuing to be a prisoner of war. He's still an American soldier. He volunteered to go over there. Only 1% of the eligible Americans who could volunteer ever did volunteer. So he went over there, and whatever he may have done over there, you resolve it, you adjudicate it here in the U.S. It's just very interesting, you know, that Barack Obama is probably the only president in American history who's going to be criticized for bringing captured American soldiers back to the United States. Prisoner exchange has been something that's been done since the Revolutionary War. You know, and the notion that this is somehow problematic, it's problematic because let's be clear about this. Because it's Barack Obama.
But we know
doing
this. You know, look, I remember I was at the
Barack
supermarket
Obama
one day.
could turn straw to gold,
Blame
and people have a
Obama.
problem. Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. You know, you got an acne bump. Blame Obama. Let's move on from that for a minute. Father's Day. You know, look, Father's Day is being celebrated around this country on Sunday. We talk about Father's Day in the black community, and of course the statistics are always brought up. 72% of families in our country that are black are single-parent households. How do we celebrate Father's Day in our community? What kind of message do we send out to our families, to our sons and daughters?
I think it's really our duty to sort of try to change the conversation. I think that it's not very often that you see good fathers in the media, and I think it's something that we have sort of focused on, and I think that the Pew Research Center recently released a study that shows 2 million fathers are now stay-at-home dads, and black fathers are twice as likely than white fathers to be stay-at-home dads. So I feel like there are great things going on in the community, and they're not always given the same light. So with that said, I think it's our duty to sort of change the conversation and focus on what is really happening in terms of black families.
For the sake of time, I'm going to have a comment from each of you. You last.
Yes.
I think I do. I definitely agree that it's an opportunity. I mean, if a person is unemployed, but they're raising a child, you know, while the wife is out, we need to quantify and qualify that contribution. In addition, I think it's a great time to use fatherhood to address the broader social justice issues that are in our communities, including violence. If a father is present in that young woman's life and prevents her from being vulnerable to all the problems that she's going to face, or young man, of course. But I think fathers especially who raise daughters, really need some recognition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would just say in closing, as a father myself and someone who had the privilege and the benefit of having a great father, is that, to your point, we have to somehow identify and honor and make sure people know that there's a lot of good, great black fathers who are out there, and they don't get the recognition.
Amen.
They don't get the recognition. They don't get the headlines. You know, and so
Absolutely.
that may help not only change the narrative, but also provide role models for some of these, and particularly young men who wind up becoming fathers, accidental fathers in many instances, understand that there is a way to be a good father.
And thus ending the reading of the scripture. I want to thank the three of you for not dealing about me too much. Okay. All right, time
Happy
to check.
Father's Day, yeah.
You got it.
Okay.